The night of the starving Wolf, the cold wind howled across the lonely surface of planet NO3. Dark rocks stretched far into the distance, and purple stars shimmered in the endless sky. It was the kind of night that made even brave people shiver. But Jack was not afraid. He was a human explorer, sent by the Earth Federation to map unknown worlds. For months, he had traveled alone with only his small rover and a few supplies. Tonight, Jack felt something different in the air. He tightened his old jacket and scanned the landscape with a small light. Suddenly, the wind shifted, carrying a new sound, a weak, painful whimper. It was not the cry of any animal he knew. It was desperate, broken. Jack paused, his breath showing in the cold air. Jack had learned long ago that exploring new worlds was dangerous. He knew better than to follow strange sounds at night. But the sound tugged at something deep inside him. Maybe it was loneliness. Maybe it was the memory of his old dog back on Earth. Or maybe Jack just couldn't ignore suffering when he heard it. He moved carefully, boots crunching on the frozen ground. The sound grew louder, mixed with heavy breathing and the scratching of claws on stone. Jack flicked his light in the direction of the noise. His heart thumped. Something was out there, something big. Then through the shadows he saw her, a creature. Large as a small horse, lay curled against a black rock. Her fur glimmered silver and blue, like moonlight on water. Sharp ears flattened against her skull. Her ribs showed under her skin, and her tail was tucked tight around her. When Jack stepped closer, the creature tried to growl, but her voice was weak. Her golden eyes stared at him wide, full of fear, pain, and hope. Jack stopped, holding up his hands to show he meant no harm. The creature's fur was unlike anything he'd ever seen. Tiny lights moved along her back, flickering like stars. Her teeth looked sharp enough to bite through steel, but she could barely lift her head. Jack whispered, "Easy, girl. I'm not here to hurt you." The cosmic wolf watched him, chest rising and falling with each ragged breath. Jack could see now how thin she was. She had not eaten for days, maybe weeks. Her paws were bloody, and there were scars on her sides. She was a fighter, but she had no fight left. For a moment, Jack wondered if he should walk away. He had only 3 ration packs left. The next supply drop was weeks away. If he gave his food to this creature, he might starve himself. But as he looked into her eyes, Jack knew he couldn't turn his back. She was not just an animal. Something about her felt different. There was a strange intelligence in her gaze, a silent plea for help. Jack knelt slowly, pulling a ration bar from his pocket. The wrapper crinkled in his hand. He broke the bar in half and tossed a piece gently toward her. The wolf flinched, but did not run. Carefully she sniffed the food. Hunger took over. She ate, slowly at first, then with desperate speed. Jack smiled. "You must be starving, huh?" He slid the rest of the bar closer. This time, she took it from his fingers, her teeth cold against his skin but gentle. As she ate, Jack watched. The tiny lights on her fur changed color, blue to green, green to violet, almost like she was glowing with gratitude. Suddenly, Jack felt a tingling in his mind, a soft whisper like music far away. He shook his head, thinking he was just tired. But as he looked at the wolf, her eyes met his, and for a brief second, he felt a word form inside his thoughts. "Thank you." Jack blinked, unsure if he had imagined it. He looked around, but there was no one else. The wolf's mouth did not move. But her eyes were gentle now, the fear replaced with something warmer. He laughed softly, a little nervously. "Did you just talk to me?" The wolf just stared, but Jack felt less alone. He stood, looking back toward his small camp a few hundred meters away. The wind was picking up, and the temperature was dropping fast. He couldn't leave her here. She would freeze to death before morning. "Come on," Jack said, gesturing. With his hand, "You can stay by the fire." The cosmic wolf hesitated, but hunger and exhaustion won. Slowly, painfully she stood. Her legs wobbled. and Jack could see how much she was struggling. He wanted to help her walk, but he didn't know if she would trust him that much. Jack led the way, keeping his steps slow. The wolf limped after him, sometimes stopping to rest. Every time she paused, Jack waited, making sure she knew he wasn't going to leave her behind. They reached the camp at last. Jack's rover was a battered machine, but the small heater inside gave off enough warmth. He built a quick shelter using spare tarps and set up his small emergency fire pit. The wolf lay down near the fire, curling up but keeping one eye on Jack. Jack sat nearby, watching her. He felt tired but curious. Who was she? Where did she come from? Why did he feel that strange voice in his mind? As the fire burned, the wolf drifted into a deep, heavy sleep. Jack pulled his jacket tight and stared up at the purple sky. He thought about his choices, about survival, about kindness. He remembered something his mother used to say, "In the darkest nights, even a little kindness can save a life." Jack didn't know if he was saving the wolf, or if the wolf was saving him from his own loneliness. Before he fell asleep, Jack looked at the wolf one more time. Her breathing was steady now. The lights on her fur had faded, but every so often, a small spark would glow soft, peaceful. As Jack's eyes closed, he had one last thought. What secret was this cosmic wolf hiding? He didn't know it yet, but this night was only the beginning. Something incredible was about to happen, and neither Jack nor the wolf would ever be the same again. The sun was just a pale line on the horizon when Jack woke up. He stretched, his back sore from sleeping on the hard ground. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then the events of last night came rushing back, the freezing wind, the strange cry, and the cosmic wolf lying by his fire. He turned slowly and saw her still curled up near the embers. The fire was out, but the shelter had kept the cold away. Jack wondered if she was still alive. Carefully, he moved closer. The wolf's sides rose and fell in slow, steady breaths. Her fur looked less dull now, and the lights under her skin glowed faintly like fireflies. Jack crouched and studied her. The cosmic wolf opened her eyes and stared at him. For a long moment, neither moved. Jack tried to read her face, searching for any sign of fear or anger. Instead, he saw something almost like trust. "Hey," Jack whispered. "You made it through the night." He reached for another ration bar, breaking it into small pieces. The wolf's ears perked up, but she didn't move. Jack slid the food toward her, a bit at a time. This time she ate slowly, licking each piece off his palm. She watched him the whole time, never blinking. Jack felt a strange comfort in her presence, like he wasn't so alone anymore. Still, worry crept in. Checked his supplies. Only 2 full ration bars left, a handful of dried fruit, and some water. Enough for maybe 3 days, 4 if he was careful. The supply ship wouldn't arrive for another 10 days. Helping the wolf could mean putting himself in danger. He sighed, thinking out loud, "What am I doing? You're going to eat all my food." The wolf let out a quiet, almost apologetic whimper. Jack laughed. Okay, I'm not really mad." He poured water into a bowl. The wolf sniffed it first, then drank deeply. Jack could see the pain in her movements. Every bone showed under her skin. Every step seemed hard. She was still weak, still barely holding on. Jack remembered the strange voice in his mind last night. It was so clear. "Thank you," but he tried to convince himself he imagined it. Now sitting here, he wasn't so sure. He leaned back, watching her carefully. "You know, if you understand me, give me a sign, anything." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the wolf slowly lifted her head, staring straight into Jack's eyes. The small lights on her fur flickered brighter. Jack felt that same gentle pressure in his mind, like soft fingers pressing against his thoughts. No words, but a feeling, a warm sense of gratitude and hope. Jack's heart thudded. "You really are special, aren't you?" He spent the morning fixing small things around his camp. The wolf followed him with her eyes but didn't move much. Jack checked his rover, making sure it was charged. He looked at his communicator, hoping for a signal, but only static came through. Out here, he was truly alone. Jack packed up what little food he had left and put it in a small bag. He looked at the wolf. "All right, I'll make you a deal. I'll share my food, but you have to stick with me. I can't let you wander off and freeze again." The wolf cocked her head as if trying to understand. Jack stood and walked a few steps away. He stopped and turned, beckoning. "Come on, let's get moving." Slowly the cosmic wolf stood up. She limped after him, her steps shaky but determined. They walked together across the cold ground, heading toward a small valley Jack wanted to explore. He needed to map the area for his mission, but now he had another goal. Keep the wolf alive. As they walked, Jack talked. He told her about Earthabout. Green fields, warm sun, the taste of real meat, and the smell of rain. He talked about his family, his friends, and the things he missed most. He wasn't sure why he told her so much. Maybe it was easier than silence. The wolf listened. Sometimes she would pause, sniffing the air, or look up at Jack when he said something funny. Her golden eyes never left him for long. Suddenly, the wolf froze, her ears flicking back. Jack stopped, heart pounding. He scanned the ground, searching. For danger, he saw nothing, just rocks and shadows. Then, with a gentle nudge of her nose, the wolf guided Jack away from a patch of loose soil. He realized it was a deep hole, nearly hidden by dust. Without her, he might have fallen in. Jack knelt, amazed. "You just saved my life." The wolf wagged her tail, a small tired movement, but it made Jack smile. They reached the edge of the valley by midday. Jack set down his pack and let the wolf rest. He took out his scanner, mapping the area, but his thoughts kept returning to his companion. She wasn't just a wild animal. She understood him, maybe more than some humans ever had. Jack offered her the last piece of his dried fruit. As she ate, he saw her fur sparkle again. This time, the light moved up her neck and around her head, swirling like a tiny galaxy. Jack watched, fascinated. "What are you?" The wolf looked up, and for a brief second, Jack saw not just an animal, but a shadow, a shape like a tall woman standing where the wolf sat. He blinked, and the image vanished. The wolf was still there, licking her lips, acting as if nothing strange had happened. Jack rubbed his eyes. Maybe he was more tired than he thought. That evening, they made camp at the foot of a large stone arch. The wind was softer here, and the ground not so cold. Jack built another fire, sharing the warmth with his friend. The wolf lay close, her eyes half closed, trusting him completely. As the stars appeared, Jack wondered what secrets the wolf held. Was she from this world? Was she something ancient, something magical? He remembered the dreams he'd had of a huntress running through the stars, fierce and proud. Were they just dreams, or memories leaking into his mind? Jack looked at the cosmic wolf, who watched the sky with him. He realized he had made his choice. He would help her, no matter the cost, even if it meant going hungry. Even if it meant breaking the rules of survival. He knew that saving her was the right thing. He also knew his life would never be the same. And somewhere in the distance, far away under the same sky, something else was watching, a shadow moving in the night, searching for a lost cosmic huntress and the foolish human who dared to help her. Jack didn't know it yet, but his choice would soon bring danger closer than he ever imagined. The next morning brought a pale sun and a cold breeze. Jack was already awake, poking at the small fire, when the cosmic wolf lifted her head. Her eyes looked brighter. She stretched, moving slowly, but with a little more strength than yesterday. Jack noticed the difference right away. Her fur was less dull, and the strange lights beneath her skin pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. He smiled. "Good morning. Feeling any better?" The wolf blinked, her tail twitching. She sat up straighter, looking at Jack as if trying to answer. Jack handed her some water, which she drank quickly, then offered a tiny piece of ration. She ate more slowly, savoring every bite. Jack knew his supplies wouldn't last long, but he felt glad to see her recover. They spent the morning exploring the edge of the valley. Jack needed to finish his survey for the Earth Federation, but now he worked with one eye on the Wolf. She followed him everywhere, close but not too close, watching every move he made. Sometimes she would pause and stare into the distance, her ears twitching at sounds Jack couldn't hear. Jack kept talking to her as he worked. "You know, you should have a name," he said, glancing back. "How about Luna? Or maybe Star?" The Wolf didn't react. Jack chuckled. "Guess you'll tell me when you're ready." Suddenly, the Wolf froze, ears up, nose twitching. Jack tensed, gripping his tool tighter. He followed her gaze, scanning the rocky ridge above. For a moment, he thought he saw a shadow move, but when he blinked, it was gone. The Wolf relaxed and Jack did too, but the feeling of being watched stayed with him. As they made their way back to camp, Jack saw something else strange. Where the Wolf walked, tiny flowers bloomed in her footprints, glowing faint blue before fading away. Jack knelt to touch one, but it disappeared into mist. He stared at the Wolf, amazed. "You really aren't from around here, are you?" he whispered. The Wolf just looked at him, her golden eyes calm and deep. That afternoon, Jack grew tired. He lay down in his tent, meaning to rest just a moment. As soon as his eyes closed, he began to dream. He found himself running through a forest, not on 2 legs, but 4. The world felt bigger, sharper, filled with smells and sounds. He chased something in the darkness. No, he was protecting something. Jack saw flashes, claws slashing, monsters howling, a pack running beside him. And then a beautiful woman, with wild, star-filled hair, her voice calling out in an alien tongue. Jack woke with a start, sweating and confused. The cosmic Wolf was lying next to his tent, watching him. He stared back, wondering if she had somehow sent him that dream. He remembered the voice in his head from before, the strange feeling of connection. He whispered, "Was that you?" The Wolf tilted her head, then slowly came closer. She pressed her nose to his hand, and Jack felt a gentle warmth spread through his body. The lights in her fur grew brighter, and for a split second, Jack heard a faint word in his mind. Soon, that evening, something even stranger happened. As the sun set, Jack was making a fire when he heard a low hum. He turned and saw the cosmic Wolf standing in the fading light. She was trembling, her fur shining with shifting colors, blue, violet, gold. Suddenly, the air around her seemed to bend. Her body glowed so bright Jack had to look away. He shielded his eyes, fear and wonder mixing inside him. When he finally looked again, the Wolf was changing, her body stretching, bones shifting, fur melting away into smooth, luminous skin. Jack could only stare, frozen in place, as the cosmic Wolf transformed before his eyes. Where the Wolf had stood, there was now a tall, beautiful alien woman. She was wrapped in shimmering silver hair that floated around her like a halo. Her eyes were golden, sharp and kind at the same time. Patterns like starlight ran across her skin, pulsing with every breath. Jack stumbled back, his mind reeling. The woman looked at him, her gaze gentle. She smiled a little shyly and spoke in a soft, melodic voice. "Don't be afraid. My name is Lyra." Jack blinked, mouth open, words lost. He had never seen anything like this in his life. Lyra took a careful step forward. "You saved me, Jack. You gave me food, warmth, hope. I was trapped in my beast form for a long time, too. Long. Your kindness broke the curse." Jack finally managed to speak. You're the Wolf?" She nodded. "Yes. My people called us Star Huntresses. We lived among the stars, hunting evil and protecting the weak. But I was cursed, made to forget who I was, until a heart full of mercy set me free. Jack shook his head, still not sure if he was dreaming. But how? Why? Lyra sat beside the fire, pulling her long hair around her like a cloak. It is a long story. I will tell you everything. But you must know your world is not as safe as you think. I am being hunted, Jack. And now, so are you. Jack's heart skipped a beat. The feeling of being watched, the shadows in the hills, it all made sense now. He swallowed hard. Who's after you? Lyra's eyes darkened. Slavers. They want to use my powers for war. They will stop at nothing to catch me. Jack looked out into the night, his mind spinning. He had only meant to save a starving animal, but now he was caught in something much bigger. Lyra placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. You have done more than you know. If you wish to send me away, I understand. I will not bring danger to you. Jack met her gaze, and for the first time, he saw not just a rescued animal, but a friend, a partner who needed his help as much as he needed hers. He shook his head. I won't leave you. We'll face them together. Lyra smiled her, eyes shining like distant suns. Thank you, Jack. As the night grew deep and the stars turned overhead, Jack and Lyra sat together by the fire. The world was still dangerous, and their enemies were close. But for the first time in a long while, Jack didn't feel alone. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but he was ready for whatever adventure awaited him and the alien Huntress who, once upon a night, had been a starving wolf. The night was alive with a quiet energy as Jack and Lyra sat together by the fire. Jack kept glancing at her, still trying to believe what he had just witnessed. Only a day ago, she was a starving cosmic wolf, wild and near death. Now she was a graceful alien huntress, shining softly under the alien stars. Lyra was silent for a long time, staring into the flames. Her silver hair moved as if touched by a gentle wind that only she could feel. The stars on her skin glimmered in rhythm with her heartbeat. Jack noticed her eyes. They were not just golden, but deep, as if they carried 1,000 stories from across the galaxy. Jack cleared his throat, not sure how to start. How do you feel? Lyra looked up, offering a tired smile. Strange. Free. It's been so long since I felt my true self. She touched her own arm, as if making sure she wasn't dreaming. You have done something rare, Jack. You showed mercy when the rest of the galaxy would have left me to die. Jack shifted uncomfortably. Anyone would have done it. No, Lyra said softly, her voice full of certainty. Not anyone. For a while, there was only the sound of the fire and the distant whisper of the wind. Jack realized he wasn't afraid, not of Lyra, not even of the new danger her words brought. Instead, he felt a growing sense of loyalty. He'd risked his rations and safety for her. Now he would risk even more. Lyra glanced at the dark hills beyond the camp. I should explain, she said quietly. I was once a guardian. My people protected weak worlds from evil. We called ourselves the Huntresses of the Stars, but someone betrayed us. A band of galactic slavers wanted my power, my ability to track, hunt, and heal. They trapped me in a beast's body and hunted me for sport. Jack clenched his fists. That's cruel. Lyra nodded, her eyes darkening. Yes, for years I wandered, half wild, hiding from the slavers. Every time I felt hope, they found me. I almost gave up, until you found me and offered kindness. Jack shook his head. So those slavers, they're out there, looking for you now? Lyra's answer was a whisper. Yes, and they will stop at nothing. They know I am free again. They must have felt the change when I transformed. Jack's heart raced. He remembered the shadow he saw on the ridge earlier, and the uneasy feeling that had followed them all. Day, how do we fight them? Or should we run? Lyra stood, her tall form graceful in the firelight. If we run, they will only hunt us harder. But together, we are stronger than you think. I am not helpless anymore. I have my senses and my skills. And you, she smiled gently, You are braver than you know. Jack blushed, then grinned. I've never fought galactic slavers before. Lyra stepped closer. Then I'll teach you. The next morning, Lyra and Jack started training. She showed him how to move quietly, how to listen for signs of danger, and how to track movement even when there was nothing to see. Jack was a quick learner, eager to prove himself. Lyra was patient, guiding him with a calm voice and steady hands. Sometimes she would shift her form halfway, her eyes glowing, her body flickering between human and Wolf. Jack was fascinated by her strength and grace. As the days passed, their bond grew. They became a team. Lyra shared stories of her people, the great hunts, the world she'd seen, the things she'd lost. Jack told her about Earth, about the beauty of its forests and oceans, and how people there sometimes forgot the value of simple kindness, but their peace was always shadowed by danger. At night, Lyra would look up at the sky, searching for strange lights or ships. Jack kept the camp ready to move at a moment's notice. One evening, while Lyra taught Jack how to read tracks in the dust, she suddenly froze. She knelt and pressed her hand to the ground. They're close. Jack looked around, fear prickling his skin. How do you know? Lyra's face was tense. Their machines leave scars in the soil. Their scent is wrong, full of poison and metal. We must leave now, they packed quickly. Jack loaded his few supplies into the rover while Lyra moved. With silent speed, her senses alert. They traveled through the night, moving deeper into the alien wilderness. As they climbed a rocky ridge, Jack looked back and saw a faint red light far behind them, bobbing in the darkness. Is that them? He whispered. Lyra nodded grimly. Yes, they never give up. Jack's heart pounded, but Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. Trust me, Jack, together we can survive. They found shelter in a cave, hidden by thick crystal vines. Lyra drew strange symbols on the cave wall, whispering in her own language. The symbols glowed faintly, creating a shield of light. Jack watched in amazement. What is that? Lyra smiled, tired but proud. A barrier. It will hide us from their eyes. For now. Inside the cave, Lyra and Jack sat together, close to the wall of light. Outside, the wind howled and shadows moved across the land. Inside, it was warm and safe. Jack looked at Lyra and saw not just an alien huntress, but a survivor, a friend. He knew their journey was only beginning. The slavers were close, and their world was full of danger. But with Lyra by his side, Jack felt stronger than ever. As he drifted to sleep, Jack thought about how quickly life could change, from loneliness to friendship, from fear to hope, from a starving wolf to a powerful huntress. He promised himself that whatever came next, he would stand with Lyra. He would not run. Outside, in the distant darkness, red eyes searched for them. But in the cave, two friends prepared for whatever the night would bring. Morning came quietly, with only a dim purple glow lighting the cave entrance. Jack awoke first, stretching his stiff back. For a moment he listened. No wind, no machines, only the distant calls of alien birds outside. Lyra was already awake, sitting near the glowing barrier, her sharp eyes watching the world beyond. Jack sat beside her, rubbing his hands together for warmth. Did you sleep at all? Lyra shook her head. I kept watch. I can sense the slavers. They're searching the hills now, getting closer. Jack swallowed, worry tightening his chest. How many are there? Lyra closed her eyes, focusing. 3 ships. Maybe a dozen slavers, all armed. They use hunting beasts, machines, and they never move alone. She glanced at Jack. But we have one advantage: they don't know you. Jack frowned. What do you mean? Lyra smiled faintly. They expect only me, a lone, frightened prey. They won't be ready for a human, someone who can think differently, someone who is willing to fight for someone else. Jack thought about this as he packed up their things. His heart was pounding, but Lyra's words gave him courage. He wasn't just an explorer anymore, he was her partner. They moved through the hills, keeping low and staying in the shadows. Lyra moved with silent grace, sometimes shifting into her wolf form to scout ahead. Jack learned to watch the land through her eyes, spotting hidden dangers and tracks left by the slavers' machines. At midday, they stopped to rest beneath a large, twisted tree with shining blue leaves. Jack handed Lyra half of his last ration. Bar. She broke it in two, giving some back to him. Jack smiled. We're running low. Lyra touched his arm. We'll find food. I can hunt, now that I have my strength back. Jack nodded, feeling hope return. Together, they shared the small meal. Lyra taught Jack how to find water in the alien plants and how to listen for the distant rumble of the slavers' engines. Suddenly, Lyra's ears twitched. She motioned for Jack to hide. They slipped behind a thick patch of glowing mushrooms. Moments later, a small scout drone buzzed overhead, scanning the ground with a red laser. Jack held his breath, heart racing. Lyra whispered. In his mind, stay still. Do not move. The drone hovered, its sensor sweeping close to where they hid. Jack could see its cold metal eye and the flashing lights on its side. For a long moment, it hung in the air, searching. Then, as quickly as it came, the drone sped off, vanishing over the ridge. Jack exhaled shakily. That was too close. Lyra nodded. They're clever, but we are cleverer. They waited until the sun dipped low before moving again. As they walked, Lyra told Jack about her people, their ancient hunts, their belief in balance, and their promise to protect the weak. Jack listened, feeling honored that she trusted him with her story. As night fell, they found shelter near a bubbling spring. Lyra shifted into her wolf form and disappeared into the dark, returning an hour later with a small animal in her jaws. She cooked the meat over the fire, sharing it with Jack. It tasted strange, but it was warm and filling. That night, as they sat close to the fire, Jack noticed Lyra watching him. You're not afraid anymore, she said quietly, Jack thought. For a moment. I'm still scared, but I'm not alone, Lyra smiled. Neither am I. Suddenly, a distant howl echoed across the hills, a mechanical, angry sound. Lyra stiffened. That's one of their hunting beasts. They're near. Jack quickly doused the fire. Together, they packed their things and slipped into the darkness, moving deeper into the rocky maze. They ran for hours, guided by Lyra's instincts and Jack's growing skill at moving quietly. Every so often, they heard the hunting beasts howl behind them, sometimes closer, sometimes farther away. Finally, Lyra led Jack into a narrow canyon, its walls rising high above. She paused, sniffing the air. We can hide here for a while. The beasts hate narrow places they can't chase us in. They rested in the canyon's shadow, pressed close to the stone. Jack's heart pounded, but he felt a new kind of strength. He trusted Lyra, and she trusted him. Suddenly, Lyra's eyes widened. Jack, get down! He dropped just as a red laser beam sizzled past his head, burning a hole in the rock behind him. The slavers had found them. Lyra shifted in an instant, standing tall and fierce. Jack crouched, grabbing a sharp stick from the ground. A slaver in dark armor appeared at the canyon's mouth, holding a rifle. Lyra shouted in a strange language, her voice full of power. The slaver hesitated, startled. Jack saw his chance. He threw the stick, hitting the slaver's hand. The gun clattered to the ground. Lyra leaped, faster than any human. She knocked the slaver down, disarming him with a sweep of her clawed hand. Jack hurried over, helping to tie the slaver with strips from his pack. Lyra bent low, growling in the slaver's ear. Tell your friends to leave us, or you'll never see daylight again. The slaver's face turned pale. He spat, you'll never escape. The master will hunt you to the edge of the galaxy. Lyra's eyes flashed. Let him come. We are not afraid. They left the slaver tied up and hurried away, moving deeper into the canyon. Jack's hands shook from adrenaline, but Lyra squeezed his shoulder, pride in her eyes. "You were brave, Jack," she whispered. "You fought for me." Jack managed a grin. "I had a good teacher." As dawn crept across the land, they found a small cave and rested, safe for the moment. Lyra curled up beside Jack, her trust in him absolute. Outside, the slavers raged, their hunting beasts howling at the empty sky. But Jack and Lyra, side by side, had survived the night. Together, they had become more than just prey. They were becoming a true team, ready to face whatever came next. And somewhere, in the dark heart of the slavers' camp, their leader stared at a glowing map and vowed revenge. The hunt was far from over. The cave was dark and silent, with only the faint sound of Jack's breathing and Lyra's gentle heartbeat filling the air. Jack woke up feeling tired, but the memory of last night's narrow escape filled him with new determination. Beside him, Lyra sat quietly, her eyes glowing softly as she listened for any danger outside. Jack watched her for a moment, amazed by how strong she seemed now. Once, she had been a starving wolf. Now she was a powerful huntress and his friend. Lyra turned to Jack and spoke in a whisper. "They're still searching. We can't stay here long. The slavers are angry and more desperate than ever." Jack nodded. "What should we do?" Lyra took a deep breath. "We fight. We must make our stand here, Jack. We have to show them we are not weak. If we run, they will never stop. But if we fight together, we can end this." Jack's heart thudded in his chest. He had never fought in a real battle before. But when he looked into Lyra's golden eyes, he felt brave. "I trust you, Lyra. I'll fight with you." Lyra smiled, her starlit hair shimmering in the dim light. "Thank you. You have already given me hope. Now we will give them fear." They prepared quickly. Lyra drew more glowing symbols at the cave's entrance shields to protect them for a short time. She handed Jack a sharp stick and showed him how to use it like a spear. Jack found some heavy stones to throw, remembering how he had saved Lyra once before by distracting a slaver. The morning crept in slowly, and the sky outside turned from purple to blue. Soon, they heard the slavers' machines grinding over the rocks. The hunting beasts howled, their cries echoing across the canyon. Jack's hands shook, but Lyra placed her hand on his arm. "Stay close. Remember, you're not alone." As the first slaver appeared at the cave's entrance, Lyra stood tall and proud, her eyes burning bright. The slaver raised his rifle, shouting, "Give up, Huntress. Your time is over." Lyra answered in a voice that seemed to shake the very ground. "Come and take me, if you dare." The slaver fired, but the shield glowed and stopped the blast. Lyra moved like lightning, leaping out of the cave and knocking the slaver down before he could reload. Jack rushed out, hurling a stone at a second slaver who tried to sneak up behind her. The fight exploded across the canyon. More slavers came, their armor shining in the morning light. Lyra shifted between her huntress and wolf forms, faster than any human could follow. She darted through the rocks, disarming slavers and knocking their weapons away. Jack fought too, using every trick Lyra had taught him. He dodged blasts, threw stones, and jabbed with his spear when he had to. Each time he thought he couldn't. Go on, he remembered Lyra's faith in him and pushed himself harder. The hunting beasts arrived, their metal claws scraping the rocks. They lunged for Lyra, but Jack yelled and waved his arms, distracting them just long enough for Lyra to attack. She fought with claws and teeth, fierce and unafraid in the chaos. The slaver leader appeared, a tall, cruel-looking alien in black armor. He aimed a strange weapon at Lyra, shouting, "You belong to us. Surrender, or your human friend will suffer." Lyra's eyes flashed with fury. She stepped in front of Jack, her body glowing with starlight. "No more running. No more fear. You will never hurt us again." The leader fired his weapon. The blast hit Lyra's shield, shattering it in a burst of light. Lyra fell to one knee, weakened. The leader laughed and aimed at Jack, but Jack remembered what Lyra had taught him. He moved fast, grabbing a sharp rock and throwing it with all his strength. The rock struck the leader's hand, knocking the weapon aside. Lyra rose, power surging through her. The stars on her skin burned bright. She called out in her own language, a sound that echoed across the canyon. The beast stopped, confused. The slavers hesitated. Jack felt energy flow from Lyra into him, a wave of courage and strength. Together, they charged the slavers. Lyra knocked them down one by one, while Jack used his spear and stones to keep them off balance. Soon, only the leader was left. He tried to run, but Lyra caught him, holding him down with impossible strength. Jack approached, his voice steady. "Leave this planet. Never come back." The leader spat, "You're nothing. A weak human and a broken huntress." Lyra leaned in close, her voice full of power. "We are more than you will ever understand. Go and tell your masters the hunted have become the hunters." She released him. The leader scrambled away, fleeing to his ship. The remaining slavers followed, terrified of the two who had beaten them. As the ships blasted off, Lyra slumped to the ground, exhausted but smiling. Jack knelt beside her, helping her up. "You did it," Jack whispered. "We did it." Lyra smiled, tears in her eyes. "Thank you, Jack. Without you, I would have never found my strength again." Jack hugged her, feeling relief and happiness mix inside him. The danger was over. They were safe. As the sun rose higher, Jack and Lyra walked together out of the canyon, side by side. The birds sang, and the world seemed peaceful for the first time in days. Jack looked at Lyra, smiling. "What happens now?" Lyra took his hand. "Now we are free. And together we can make a new life, a life where we protect others just as you protected me." Jack nodded. He felt changed, stronger, wiser, and no longer alone. And somewhere far away, the story of the human and the alien Huntress was already becoming legend, a tale of courage, kindness, and the power of trust. The canyon was quiet now, filled with the golden light of a new day. The smoke and chaos of battle were gone, replaced by peace. For the first time since Jack landed on this strange world, he felt truly safe. Lyra stood beside him, strong and calm, her hair glowing softly like moonlight. Jack looked out across the alien land. The scars of the fight would fade, but the memories would last forever. He turned to Lyra, who was watching him with gentle eyes. "We made it," Jack said, his voice a mix of relief and wonder. Lyra nodded, a smile on her lips. "We did. And now everything is different, for both of us." They walked together through the quiet rocks and shimmering plants, leaving the canyon behind. Every step felt lighter. The slavers' ships had disappeared into the sky, taking their hate and fear with them. Jack and Lyra were free. As they traveled, Jack noticed how the world around them seemed to wake up. Small creatures came out of hiding. Blue flowers opened to the sun. Even the wind felt warmer. Lyra's presence brought hope to the land, as if her curse had been lifted from everything, not just herself. They stopped beside a small crystal stream. Lyra knelt and cupped water in her hands, offering some to Jack. He drank gratefully. "I never thought I'd find a friend out here," Jack said quietly. "When I saw you in the cold that first night, I thought you might kill me, but you needed help." Lyra smiled, her golden eyes shining. "You were the first to show me kindness after so much pain. You reminded me of who I am." Jack thought about everything they had faced, the hunger, the fear, the chase, and the final battle. He realized that every moment, good or bad, had led to this new beginning. They set up a small camp near the stream. Jack used his tools to build a better shelter. Lyra gathered food, alien fruits, roots, and even hunted with her old skills. She showed Jack how to read the land and sense danger before it came close. Together, they made plans for the future. Sometimes, Lyra would sit quietly and look up at the stars. Jack would join her, listening as she spoke about her people and their old ways. She told him stories of the cosmic huntresses, of great battles and lost friends. Jack shared his own stories of Earth, of family, and the simple joys of home. As days turned into weeks, their bond grew deeper. Jack learned to trust not just Lyra, but himself. He was no longer just a lost explorer. He was a survivor, a partner, and someone Lyra could depend on. Lyra became more than a huntress. With Jack's help, she remembered her strength, her kindness, and her place in the universe. One evening, as the sun set and the sky filled with purple and silver, Lyra turned to Jack. "You could leave now. If you wanted, the danger is gone. You could call for a rescue ship, go back to your world." Jack shook his head, smiling. "I could, but why would I leave the best friend I've ever found?" Lyra touched his hand, gratitude and affection in her eyes. "Then stay with me. Together we can do more than just survive. We can help others, lost travelers, hurt creatures, anyone in need." Jack grinned. "I'd like that. We can be our own team, human and huntress, protectors of the wild places." Lyra laughed, her voice musical. "The galaxy will have to watch out." Their days were filled with adventure. They explored old ruins, found hidden paths through the mountains, and rescued a baby creature caught in a net. Every time they helped someone or solved a new problem, Lyra's legend grew. Word spread slowly through the wild. Land stories of a mysterious pair, a brave human and a star-born huntress who saved the weak and defeated the cruel. Some called them heroes. Others whispered that they were spirits of hope, returned to heal the wounds of the galaxy. But for Jack and Lyra, it was simple. They were just two friends, together because of a single act of kindness on a cold night. Jack often remembered that night when he first heard the whimper in the dark, the moment everything changed. If he had turned away, Lyra would have died, and he would have stayed alone. But because he chose mercy, a new story had begun, not just for them, but for everyone they touched. Sometimes, Jack would sit by the fire and ask Lyra, "Do you ever miss your old life, the stars, your people?" Lyra would smile softly. "I miss them, yes, but I am not alone anymore. My new life is here with you. And maybe, one day, we will find others like us, people who believe in hope and friendship and second chances." The seasons shifted. The land grew green and alive. Jack and Lyra built a small home by the stream, a place for travelers to rest, for lost souls to find warmth and food. They welcomed everyone, human or alien, and made each person feel safe. At night, as they sat by the fire and watched the stars, Jack felt a peace he had never known before. He knew there would be more challenges ahead. Maybe the slavers would return, or new dangers would come. But with Lyra by his side, he was ready for anything, and so their story continued, a human and an alien huntress, living together on the edge of the galaxy, bringing light to the darkness. Their legend grew, not because they sought glory, but because they chose kindness again and again. On that world, under the endless sky, a new beginning had truly arrived. And as long as Jack and Lyra stood together, the universe was a little brighter for everyone.